Hello everyone, this is Dilay again, and this video is brought to you by Techno Hardware. Welcome to the third video of this beginner-friendly C course. Previously, we have discussed defining variables, assigning numbers to a variable, and just variables in general. And also format specifiers, those tiny signs that we have used. Let me show you. %d that we used inside printf, like this. But in order for these to function, let's just write our skeleton. stdio.h and our main function. Okay, I want to specify this one more time. One more, and this is the last time, but this is the very bone of my C program, and without these phrases my function just will refuse to work. This is essential. We need to learn this skeleton. Okay, so let's our function to remember how we use a format specifier on printf function, but before that we need to assign a variable. Okay, so I will have a variable called a, and I'm going to assign 8 value to a. So what does this line stand for? This line explains to the computer that we have a variable called a, and this is an integer, okay? It can only contain integer number within, and its value is 8. Now, I want to print it so that I know if my program is working right. So what do I want to do? I want to make my computer print a equals a's value. So I put the variable a after the comma outside of my quotation marks. Let's just run this. See, 0 error. And my program worked as it should be. Okay, as I have mentioned, there are numerous format specifiers, but I'm using %d because this is the format specifier that we use on integer. The ones that like %s, %c, %f are the ones that are not suitable for integers. But this one is. This is a rule that you'll get the hang of it, okay? Since this is the only format specifier that we covered so far, and integers are pretty much the only variable types data types that we covered, so this shouldn't be that big of a challenge, okay? So the thing is, I have shown you that we can operate within numbers in C, but I didn't get too deep. By the way, I'm jumping from format specifiers to operations because I'm assuming that this is all clear. I can change this to 10 and 2, and this will still give me the value that I wanted to print, okay? Okay, so operations. We can make arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. There are more operations like assignment operations, relational operations, logical operations, and bitwise operations, but right now we're focusing on the things that are more essential for us, and that is right now arithmetic operations. So let's operate, shall we? Don't forget, we can always use variables, but I'm going to use constant numbers for this right now. Okay, so int b 4 plus 9. Okay, by the way, we can make it like this. Or like this. they are both equal to one another. So no worries on that one. And in C, by the way, this method has a more convenient way, but right now I'm going to be using this int D and int E, and that is 6 divided by 2. Okay, so let's write our functions. Okay, so B equals my variable, and then C equals C variable, D equals D variable, and E equals E variable. So let's write it. What this stand for? B. What this one stand for? C. What this one stand for? D. And what this stand for? E. I wrote down for my specifiers in one line and in order. Okay. A equals 2, this one is here, and B 13, C 30, D 10, and E 3. Okay. I'm guessing the operations are covered right now. So I think we should be good. So operations are just easy, basic. So let's move on for something a little bit more complicated. So I have mentioned another code earlier. I've been hinting at it since the first class, so it's a pretty big deal. It's nothing fancy, nothing too complicated, but pretty important, okay? Programs that we write and run are nothing without a data that we collect from the users. Every day while you use a website or play a game or just do something in general on internet, you encounter several choices, and when you choose an option in any of them, you give the program, whatever the program that you're using, it can be a website or it can be a game, whatever, you give the program a data that it can process or use. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to write an interactive program. It's going to be a short one, but it's a start. Okay, let's open a new page. How do we start again? stdio.h int main. Okay. So let's what do we want from this function, from this program? We want the user gives us a number, and we operate numbers. It's a basic calculator. Okay. So let's start, shall we? I'm going to write down a text to let our users know what we want from them. So let's say, please enter a number. So now our users know that we want a number from them. This is why I'm combining these two functions together. Now, my second function, scanf. Now it gets a bit tricky. Okay, so I'm writing down another format specifier. And I will do something finicky with this. So, what is this? We need to assign the data to a variable. We don't even have a variable. So let's create one. We need to assign the data to a variable. Otherwise, we cannot process it. And in order to assign something to a variable, we need to define it. So this is what I did there. But now, let's look at this kind of function more detailed. because this is the more interesting part here. As you can see, I'm still using my format specifier here. And the reason for that is because I want the user to give me a number as written in the text. I told the user that I want a number. But more strangely, there's an and sign. This sign has another name, and that is ampersand, and this is what I will be calling it from now on. The reason for that will make sense when we get into the part pointers. For now, I want you to stop questioning that part. Just accept it as is. I'll be more detailed when we get to that part. It's one of the good ones. Pointers are very important parts of the programming. And I used to struggle with that part a lot. Okay, so we want our program to make the for operations on the number that our user gives us. Okay, let's write down the operations. Printf. A plus 8. Okay, so the operations that I want my program to execute is these. A plus 8, A minus 2, and A multiple 3, and A divided by 2. Okay, I will be making these for operations. If you want, you can make A plus A or A multiply A, or just this has no meaning. But these are the things that I had planned in mind. It can be like this, or it can be like this. Okay, so let's operate, shall we? Let's code. What is this? So we can make operations after the comma? Oh, that is new. I only thought that we could only write just variables like this. And I mean, we can write variables, but we can also make simple operations inside the printf, because printf is a wide and capable function. And if you want to spice things up, you can also make it like this. What does this? What is this? Okay, let's run this program like. Oh, let's write a number. Ah, fun. So fun. So, my first variable here is A. And A is the number that we gave the computer to process. And 8 is my constant here. If I wanted, I could get a second number, just like this. But this one should be another variable. And I have to define this one as well. But we're just gonna work with 1. Okay. By the way, we can make this one with a second variable as well if you'd like. We could assign this to A plus 8, and we could make it like this, but we need to define B as well. AB, I forgot a comma. Three, and 3 plus 8 is 11. You can see my function is working quite right, but we don't need a second variable because it worked just fine before. Like, why would I make my computer work more when it has a easier and much faster way to do it? We don't want to burden our computer with another variable that it doesn't need. This is the programming 101. If you don't need it, get rid of it. Okay, so my outcome is as it's supposed to be, right? Everything is functioning right. Everything is the way that I want it. Let's check it one more time. It's okay. It's cool. So let's write down our second operation. Okay, I forgot. So, did you understand what are we going to write after the commas? So, I want a minus 2. So after my first for my specifier, I want this to be a, and the second one is to be a minus 2. So let's work this one more time. We're gonna come across a tiny bit of situation here, but I'm going to show you how to fix it ASAP. 4 minus 2 equals 2, 4 plus 8 equals 12, okay? But what would happen if I were to get this line to here? I wanted to start a new line. And, okay, remember how I told you that C is a middle level language and how it's closer to the machine language than a high level one? Well, it's one of those times that C is a little bit behind from its descendants. Even if I go from the bottom, bottom to row, on the code, my compiler won't understand that I want to write the second line as second line in my, as in the new line is here. It understands the blank, this space, because I simply wrote it there. But what if I forgot to put, it's something unexpected happened. What is this? I don't want this. So for this, we express our need for a new line by this, by using this new line command inside the printf. Now let's work this one. 2. There you go. This is the thing that I want. I want my second operation to be in the new line. So this is what I get. So after this is pretty much the same. All we need to do is write new new operations, but don't forget to put the new line. Let's write %d multiply with 3 equals this, okay? Let's write down the division. New line here. My a equals a divided by 2, okay? Let's run this. Let's run number 4. Everything is as it's supposed to be, as it should be. But I want to introduce you a tiny bit of issue here. What happened here? Okay. So this, something's not right with this. I mean, it is right, technically. Since I have used int type, integer type, to identify variable a, even if the result of an operation is decimal number as it should have been, my computer will still count it as an integer, so we'll simply ignore the decimal part after this. If I were to use float instead of integer when I was defining a, I would get the proper results. So how can we use float? Well, it's for another lesson. Because I'm starting to think that I should cut this part right here, and hopefully some things started to make more sense to you, because we're getting deep and deeper after each lesson. And for that, we can make more exercises in the future, but I would love to get your feedback after this. Because I was pre-recording and I did not have the luxury to have your feedback. So I would appreciate it if you would give me some. Whether if you want to have more exercises or if you want to jump in to new subjects. But like I said before, don't wait for anyone to do it. Find exercises on your own. Go search for new subjects. I'm sure you can find many delightful websites that would have a better insight to all of these. So if you want to see me on my new lesson video, you should subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on it. So I'll see you in my next lesson, but until then, stay safe and goodbye.